Welcome to the Battery Testing Mentor podcast. A long time has been passed since the last episode. The summer break has been very long. I have to admit I was pretty busy. I had things to do, and then unfortunately this podcast shifted down in the priorities more and more. Most notable thing is that I kind of rebranded myself. I started a new company together with a friend, kind of bringing my old company, like my old consulting work, into this new company where I help companies in the battery testing space, in the battery test specifications, setting up battery test labs, and also working on the EU battery regulation. And I was kind of enjoyed working together with my longtime friend now, Martin, where we also do a podcast together. I mean, to be honest, that is the reason why I started this podcast as well, because it was going so well with this hydrogen podcast. So we said, let's join forces, and he brings his hydrogen knowledge into this company. I bring my battery testing knowledge into the company. I mean, I always say that he is kind of the copycat of me, just in the hydrogen space. We have very similar experiences made. And so basically we can now support our customers in both areas, in hydrogen and battery space. So this was mainly the main reason to that I didn't post so many podcasts. I mean, to be honest, I didn't post any podcast since last summer. And now I'm here with a new company. I hope you see here my new logo also in the back. I need to, of course, raise awareness about our company name. And I mean, you also see that I'm kind of reworking my office. So therefore the shelf here is pretty empty, but we will see if during the next episodes it gets filled up step by step. So a lot has happened since last summer, and now it's 2025. I hope you all had a good start here into this new world of battery testing. And I'm really happy that you can still listen to this podcast despite these breaks. And I'm the more happy and motivated now to bring you again insights out of this battery testing field. What I want to talk about today as kind of the starter episode is something that basically runs around my head already since quite some time. There was a fire in, I think it was last November or so, where in America a truck with batteries started to burn or tipped over, and then it started to burn. And basically you see some footage from this truck basically blowing up. And I want to show you, or basically share this with you, and then at the same time really make some comments. But let's first play it.
We begin tonight with that breaking news as we learned the Vincent Thomas Bridge could be closed for at least another 24 to 48 hours. This after a semi-truck carrying a load of lithium ion batteries overturned and caught on fire.
What a situation. That fire has now been burning for more than 6 hours. Take a look at this new drone video and watch as the drone moves closer, and then the trailer explodes.
So in the announcement, these news anchors say there's a truck of lithium ion batteries. I mean, it looks more like a stationary battery system that was kind of installed in a container. Not typical, this typical truckload of batteries like as a transport thing. But nevertheless, they are right that it's full of batteries. And I mean, here you see probably also that here in the bottom part and the top part, there are batteries. Maybe there in the middle, there's some converter unit. But what I really want to look in detail is how this thing blows up. So if we go back, maybe I mute the sound now that we can talk freely. And now I'm wondering, can I make it very slow here? Exactly. So basically we see now this flyover where you see the container here lying, of course, properly labeled here on the side with this warning sign for batteries. And now you see basically this when we come closer, and now basically it's just a couple of frames where you get a view of how the explosion happens. So basically this thing really blows up. Let's try to get closer to the point. Because here, what you really see is how this whole thing bends upwards. I mean, it is covered in some plastic wrapping, so this is blowing up. But you also see here in the front and in the back the doors slamming open, and you really see that basically everything like turns around like a bulb, like a ball, which is really this sign where kind of the thing explodes. Like there's a lot of pressure inside. And the question is it really like the battery exploding? Very likely not. Very likely it is the venting, so that basically there was some venting inside. And then these vented gases are inside the container. And I mean, such a 20-foot or probably 20-foot container is super tight, or generally these overseas containers are very tight. So the venting gas is accumulating inside. And basically then here probably you have this somewhere an spark, maybe something that is like really hot, where the vent gases kind of incense and starts burning. And you see also the flame here on the side, like really this light. And if we go a little bit further, let's see. Yeah, we see here really how this whole thing blows up. What is notable is here on the side of the container, at the bottom part, seeing how this whole container is bent. Like you see, it's not straight anymore. It is completely bent. Imagine this force that is necessary to bend such an 40-foot container. And I mean, also the doors is bent. You see it, it's not straight anymore. It's not just flapping open, but it really like, I mean, of course it was locked, and this pressure really flipped this door out of the locking mechanism. And basically, yeah, everything happens very fast. It's a couple of frames, and then like some stuff falls out, is expulsed, and basically then the drone also needs to move away. Because, I mean, of course, whoever is flying the drone didn't expect this, very likely. So what do I really want to say? I mean, here, maybe we can see here also that the top part is now completely bent. We see this door that was lying there before as kind of this maybe inverter unit or something that is like connected, like for the electrical installation. What is interesting, you don't really see on kind of the fire here. So very likely it was really this the venting gases that just deflagrated, that burned, and kind of led to this reaction. And so why do I want to talk about this? What I find so fascinating about this, that it shows the power of a battery going into a thermal runaway. Like you see, this container is completely demolished. It's deformed in all directions. This happens when you do not have this pressure release in such a container in a test room. I mean, in normal operation, you don't need a pressure relief because you don't expect, I mean, you don't plan that the battery is burning, that the gases, they're venting gases, and they just start to incend. And where do you need a pressure relief is really when you do these tests, abuse testing, for example, when you want to have batteries in a thermal runaway. And then suddenly you basically need to deal with all this force that comes out. And therefore, like sometimes you see these very small pressure reliefs, like, I don't know, 10 centimeters diameter tubes that are basically worthless. If you see here the force that is there, like that just breaks open these massive doors in containers that are also properly locked, like with probably steel bars or something like this. And they are just slammed open, and then thinking that such a 10 centimeter diameter hole will release the pressure that will build up inside. That is really something that very often is a sign that, there's a little bit lacking the experience with actual battery abuse tests. What I also want to strike out here, I mean, here they say battery fire. I mean, of course, in the overall things, there was a battery fire, but what was it exactly? There are terms like explosion also have been falling, like people saying, oh, the batteries exploded. I mean, in the kind of general terms, that is okay, right? Yeah, the battery exploded. But if you want to be exact, batteries are not exploding. I mean, there are some instances, like in the early days of battery testing, I really remembered cells that kind of from one point to the other, they just exploded and everything was lying everywhere. But nowadays, you basically do not see these explosions anymore. What you typically see is the smoke, the electrolyte evaporating, like turning from this fluid into gaseous, and then it builds such a pressure inside the cell that it opens the cell vents. The electrolyte is out in this gaseous form, and this is often very flammable and can start burning. And especially if you have the right spark source, for example, or anything else that could ignite, for example, high temperature, these gases, then suddenly you have this deflagration of these gases. What is the difference between explosion and deflagration? Basically, it is very similar, and therefore, like, if you're not kind of deep into this, you very likely do not see the difference. I mean, even if you're deep into this, you also can't really see the difference, because the one thing is kind of when I think the fire burns or moves faster than the speed of sound. And the other one is when it is moving slower. And kind of with these venting gases, you typically you can't get this high speed of fire. Yeah, so these were the 2 points. On the one hand, really getting aware about the extreme power that is there in such a battery event. And on the other hand, making you a little bit aware about the difference between deflagration, explosion, and what really starts to burn, what really starts to create this pressure. I hope you enjoyed this very illustrative session, this very illustrative episode of our podcast. I'm really looking forward to start this new season. I hope my goal is definitely to run it longer than just until summer, but at least until autumn, or maybe even make the whole year. But I hope you will cheer to me and just let me know when you have any ideas, any wishes for episodes, whatever you want to hear. Also, if you are more interested into our company, then let me know. I'm happy to chat with you about what we are doing. And I wish you a good couple weeks now. I think very likely the next podcast will be released in 2 weeks from now. I have already a guest that I'm interviewing there. So really, be excited. I am excited, and let's hear each other next time again. Until then, have a good time.